Hello, this is Sean, I'm Sean, and this is Scrambled Age, Finding Meaning in a Mixed Up World. And this is part 3 of a series on worship. And first part was what is worship? Second part being really the first part of talking about the order of service and the order of worship as we come to the Lord corporately. And I said I break it into 3 chunks: celebration, communion, and commission. The first chunk, celebration, I talked about in the last video. This time I'm going to talk about what communion is, that moving into the next section. Of course, I said last time that 1 Corinthians 14:40 says everything is to be done decently and in order. And what I'm sharing with you is the order that makes sense in my brain, what orders my brain. And people are going to approach it differently, but this is how I approach it. So anyway, the first chunk, celebration, we go from call to worship to thanksgiving to praise. And then we move in, and all that is kind of a corporate we kind of language, a proclamation together. And the correct posture, I think, for this is to have everyone stand. If you're a congregation that people move at all, or respond at all physically, I would say have everyone stand. But when we get into this next time of worship, typically I think it's a good time for freedom of expression. So if people want to continue standing, if they want to sit, in our church, you could dance or walk around or kneel, and wouldn't be out of place. And it just depends on the culture of your congregation. But this is definitely a time where we could get more free in responding to God physically and not just with our voices. So we're moving into a time of communion. It would be a great time for communion if it was your communion Sunday, if you only do it like once a month. Some churches, of course, will do it every week. But it would be a great time to move into that. Or it would just be a good time, if you're not having communion, to invite. This would be a good time to start, maybe to just talk from the heart. Invite people into intimacy with the Lord. And it's a good time if you're in the middle, you're transitioning from songs don't have to be fast or whatever to be a praise song, and slow, to be a communion type song, intimate song. But if you're shifting gears, maybe it's a time where you can just stop, maybe doodle a little bit on your guitar or keyboard, and just in your heart ask, God, what are you doing? What do you want to do in this moment? So let me look at 2 Corinthians 3:16 through 18. Whenever a person turns to the Lord, the veil is removed. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. We all, with unveiled faces, are looking as in a mirror at the glory of the Lord, and are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. This is from the Lord, who is the Spirit. So it's talking about the work of the Spirit here, how we're beholding His glory, and it's radiating onto us. So that's kind of like what I said last time. When we come in to His courts with praise, we're glorifying Him. But in doing so, we're going to be basking in His glory, and that's what we're shifting gears into. We kind of have now lifted Him up, exalted His name, and we're in awe of Him at this point. And now we go into a song of reverence. So this is the time where you could do a song of confession. And a lot of times I think about, a song of confession here, of if it's not a confession for sin, it's a confession of our need for him. But specifically, though, we're moving into a song of reverence. So here we go. I'm going to look at Psalm 95. I'm just flipping to it. Not flipping. Going in my app to it as we go along. Psalm 95 verse 6 says, "Come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the sheep under his care." And so that's what we're doing here. We shift gears in our hearts into a reverent mode. That's what worship is this kind of, when we talk about the word worship, it's a bowing our hearts, it's a reverence, it's a kneeling, that's the posture that we are now taking, from standing to maybe falling face down before the Lord. Even fall face down before His Majesty. Let's look at Isaiah, and it's verse 6. We all know this one, 1 through 8. "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphim were standing above him. They each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces. With 2 they covered their feet. And with 2 they flew. And one called to another, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of armies. His glory fills the earth,' the whole earth. The foundations of the doorway shook at the sound of their voices, and the temple was filled with smoke. Then I said, 'Woe is me, for I am ruined, because I am a man of unclean lips, and live among a people of unclean lips, and because my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of armies.' Then one of the seraphim flew to me, and in his hand was a glowing coal that he had taken from the altar with tongs. He touched my mouth, and with it said, 'Now this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is removed, and your sin is atoned.' Then I heard the voice of the Lord asking, 'Who should I send? Who will go for us?' I said, 'Here I am. Send me.'" So this is the beholding of the Lord on his throne and completely being undone, realizing you have no business being in the presence of God, and yet here you are. Because he has cleansed us, we can be here with him. So it's this incredibly humbling experience to be in the presence of God, but here we are. And so, how are we to respond but just fall on our face and say, "Holy, holy, holy"? So in this time of communion, we have a song of reverence, and then we're going to move from that, just reverent time, to a song of adoration. So a song of adoration, let's look at Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs, I think. Song of Songs. Except my Bible's not doing that. Ecclesiastes. Okay, so anyway, in the adoration, it's talking about delighting in your beloved. Here we go. I'm looking at the wrong verse. That's the problem. Song of Songs, chapter 2, verse 3 through 5. Like an apricot tree among the trees of the forest, so is my love among the young men. So is my love among the young men. So I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banquet hall, and he looked on me with love. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apricots, for I am love sick. So we can go from this time of reverence before a holy God, but then knowing that he has redeemed us and cleansed us and received us to himself. He's made us his own. And now here we are in his arms, and looking into his eyes. How can we not be overcome by his love, by his beauty? We're lovesick before the Lord. So that's what it is. It's a time of adoration, just gazing on the Lord and his beauty and his compassion toward us, and that he's called us his own. So it's just kind of being in wonder and adoring the Lord. This is where you can really put a good love song in there to the Lord. So in this time of communion, we have a time of communion, maybe of confession. You can have a song like that. Then we're going to have a song of reverence, and then of adoration. And then at this point, it's probably a good time to you might stop, and it might be a good time to pray, and maybe even close or transition, depending on what you're going, how your service is structured. Let me read from Colossians, chapter 4, verse 2. Devote yourselves to prayer. Stay alert in it with thanksgiving. So this is a time of just punctuating your service with prayer. And then, of course, if you're going to transition, a good time, a good way to transition is not just pray to the Lord, but we've been in this whole journey together at this point, from gathering to thanksgiving to praise to communion and confession to reverence to adoration. We've been in this journey together, and we've kind of come before the Lord, not on our own. We could do that at home. This is a corporate, this is a communal time of worship. So we don't want to ignore each other. So we want to greet one another. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 14 says, "Greet one another with a kiss of love. Peace to all of you who are in Christ." So let's go ahead and greet each other. I usually say, turn to 1 or 2, 3 people around you, give them a handshake or a hug, and whatever you want them to say, or not say, or just, say hi. God bless you. Good morning. Grace to you today. So that is our second chunk of the worship experience for, I'd say, a Sunday morning, whatever, Saturday evening, whenever you meet, for your regular worship service. So first being celebration, then communion. I'll come back to you in the next video and close it out.